today?
I'm doing good, Ola. I think this is the best time to speak in person and share views. So thank you for allowing me to speak and share my views with you.
It's an absolute pleasure. We've been following you so much for in LinkedIn, and you are a big, a startup revolutionary. I guess, or I consider you like that, showing very productive information and posts with the communities, as well as you have one quite big group, right? It's like how many people? 800,000, something like this.
Yeah, in 90K, so about 900K. Yeah, it's going to be 1
900K
million
already. Yeah.
soon, I'm sure.
Okay. All right, close to 1 million, yeah. Nice. Okay, Ravi, so let's start with the interview. I wanted to ask you the first question, which is much a bit more personal, which is about how someone who admires you will define who is Ravi.
Well, I mean, something which is close to me is always that when you fall down, you stand up, right? So I've had my own experiences of falling down and getting up across, and not once but many times. So if somebody has already fallen down a couple of times and woken up in
Yes.
distress and then started off their own, they'll probably find me anywhere and around them as well. But if somebody has not really gone through that distress, they'll find me like a jovial person who's just enjoying his life on LinkedIn probably.
All right, enjoying and resilient, yeah? I understand very well. Yeah, that's right.
I think I am approachable for people who really want to change themselves, specifically people who are aspiring entrepreneurs who want to really give it a try and build something of their own. I'm always available for them.
Okay, all right. So helping people to take that step, right? Which is may sometimes, well, most of the times, the hardest thing to do, the first step, right? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
because most of the time, people, globally, Yoshi will understand that people fail because not because the idea was bad or the people were bad or they were at the wrong time. It was basically they did not try at the right market or they did not test in the right market to validate their business idea. And that's the reason,
Sure.
one of the biggest reasons why startups fails across the regions, right? Not just in India or Spain, worldwide.
Yes, yes, sure. Yeah, it's the right strategy and also the execution part, right? The action part that is
Correct,
taking the
correct.
action. That's correct. Yeah, totally agree with that. There are many studies that back up that. So, yes. And now this is a bit a random question, Ravi, but just to have a bit more fun. If you could wake up tomorrow anywhere in the world, Ravi, where it would be?
Sorry, come again, please.
Yeah, if you could wake up anywhere in the world tomorrow, where it would be?
I think the safest bet is to be a writer or wake up to be a writer, a real famous one, and distributing books around to change people and their mindset for more peaceful existence. I would say, because
All
I think
right.
in the times to come, Yoshi, the biggest problem that people will face is to be peaceful and to be a little calm as usual. But we will not
Uh-huh.
find that in the coming times. People are restless. People want more money. People want more freedom. People are stressed out completely. So
Hmm.
I think I would want to influence people to be more peaceful and be more loving as compared to what they think they could be, right? So I think
Okay.
that's the biggest challenge that I would want to probably go cross over and wake up with.
Definitely. I completely agree with you. Thank you so much for that, for sharing that. I really believe that. Actually, in the workforce report, the 2022, the Gallups found out that, that people are more stressed and disconnected in the workplace. And this is a reality. So stress is going higher. And as you say, there is a need of people to feel more calm and to handle better their emotion, right? So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing as well, and it's my mission. Thank you, Ravi. Yeah. So
Yep.
I wanted to ask you. Now we're going to the interview main questions, and I wanted to ask you related to this that we just shared. But if you could live tomorrow, yeah, and you were to die tomorrow, Ravi, which last message will you leave to the world?
Well, I mean, if I know that the time has come, then there's no last message. It's always a goodbye and take care, right? But I think if if you have to inspire somebody so that they remember you for some time, I think it is important that uh, I think hope floats is one of the words that I use very often, and don't stop hustling. Uh, because life is all about always giving away things, not just assimilating things, right? So I feel give as much as you can and expect nothing back. I think that's the best philosophy that you can live like a monk. Yeah. So
Give as
and
much
that
as you
works
can, eh?
also. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it works also, right? The more you give, the more you have, and the more you have is more portion of happiness and peace rather than anything else. And that's more related with your experience and your in your life that you get, not in the early stages of your life, but on the later stages of your life. You realize that the more you give things, the more mind share you give to people, the more happiness that you give to people, it comes in multifolds to you back. So I think it is
Yes.
important to be a little peaceful in life and give as much as you can. Expectation as much as lower as you can to
Yeah.
from things that you don't
Yeah.
expect.
This sounds to, well, for me, I live or I believe in this law of karma, yeah, the universal of karma, that you get what you is cause and effect. And
And it
also,
comes back. You see,
yes,
karma comes back to you, and it is beyond karma as I'm talking about. This what I'm saying is forget the karma. You just keep giving what you can, as much as you can, happily as you can, and keep your expectation at bottom low. I mean,
yes,
there's
yes, I
no
agree, I
because
agree, I agree.
expectation is the root cause of all the problems. Once you start
Mhm.
expecting and you don't get
Yes,
that amount, you start having problems in your mind and
definitely.
elsewhere.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues that we expect, or we give sometimes expecting something in return, and when we don't get
Yeah,
it, we say, okay, well, I won't give anything else, and that's the mindset,
absolutely.
right? Normal common sense. I totally agree with that. Yeah. I'm trying, well, I'm training my generosity more every day. So I like that comment, Ravi. Thank you so much. I did a newsletter yesterday because I also think that this power of collaboration, altruistic collaboration, can give a lot of value to everybody. So give as much as you can. We'll leave it at that. I wanted to ask you now, Ravi, in your experience, yeah, with startups and entrepreneurs that you have advised and your track record, what is the biggest lesson learned that you had already so far?
There are a couple of them. The first lesson is the basic one that, and I'm written my books according to those lessons as well that I've got. Working with entrepreneurs, working with smart founders, and working with people who are successful and failed both. The first lesson is that you don't go into the market with an unvalidated idea or business idea. You need to understand whether the market has a potential or not for your business idea or not. That's one. That's the number one thing. The number two thing is, you need to have the right kind of team who can execute the idea. It doesn't really matter what their backgrounds is, but it is important to have the right kind of team. If you don't have the right kind of team, as good as the idea might be, it might just fall flat on the face because the team executes the idea. It's all about execution, right? The
Yes.
third point, which is the most important part, is knowing about finance and financial details, right? How the working capital works, how to raise funds, when to burn money, when to put marketing into place, how when to hire people, when to expand the teams, when to grow. I think if the person knows all these, basic three things, I think the chances of failure reduces and the chances of success increase. And that's the whole thing all about. Rest, I think 40% is always luck. Maybe sometimes it's 50%. But then most of the 60% time that the idea or the business takes is about hustle and being a little practical about the business idea that he or she is taking to the market and getting
Hmm.
these three things in place. One is the idea validation, second is the team, third is understanding the financial acumen of the company and understanding working capital. So
Sure.
I think it's important if the three things are known to anybody who's trying to try a new thing in the market or being an entrepreneur, these might help out.
All right, very good. Thank you for sharing that. So, product validation or service validation, the team, and then financial awareness and requirements, we could say, yeah. Uh,
Correct. Correct.
and yes, so regarding the validation, well, we could talk a lot in detail about each of the three of the points that you mentioned, but I'm more curious about the team. Yes, what did you see that helps more to have a effective, productive, resilient team? That is probably the most important thing required in the coming years.
See, any idea, always the chances of success of that idea also depends upon the execution of the idea as well, right?
Yes.
Faster, better, good execution of the idea makes a faster, better product or a service in the market, right? So if a team is qualified or is what you call as um, challenged, I would say, or equipped with the right kind of product, the chances are that the right team will execute the idea better, right? But
Yes.
if it's a great product, but the team is lousy, slow, non-agile, non-lean, and full with loads of whatever attitude that they might have of their own, the idea might go for a negative, way across.
Yes.
A positive team, a team full of confidence, a team qualified to handle various roles, makes all the difference. So I would always suggest, and I will always say that I recommend to founders and aspiring entrepreneurs that while you have a great idea to invest on, please take out time to invest on a great team. Please take help of your mentors, coaches, or
Mm,
consultants who are experts in this domain to understand and hire the right kind of human capital, because that will make the whole difference between a great success of your idea or your business, as well as if not, then the failure. The responsibility is directly on the team at times. You
yes.
will also find that a great team with a bad idea is better than a great product with a bad team, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
I think it
Definitely.
is important that along with the investment that you've done on the product and service, the second best investment that you can do is on the right kind of team to handle the business, the idea,
Yes.
not the idea.
Sorry, Ravi, your audio is a bit off now. Do you have any other headset or something that we could maybe try?
Yeah, I have a headset.
Okay, okay. Now it sounds better. Yeah, so yeah, you would say that the right team is very important, that is full of confidence, as well to invest in their education, being mentoring or coaching, yes?
Correct.
Anything else that do you think could potentially help them to have this right mentality, right mindset and collaboration and resilience mindset?
I think it is important that the right team is also coached and mentored very well. They should be
Mm,
given a direction in where they have to work. They should be given tangible outcomes so that they can work on those outcomes as well. They should always also be given um, the right kind of what you call as KPIs or in performance indicators where they can understand where they have to go, because once the right team knows where they have to go, chances are that they will take the right kind of steps. But if
mhm,
we do not give them the right kind of environment, they do not give you the right kind of coaching, teaching, mentoring, training, chances are they can go haywire. Even a great team can go haywire. So it
mhm,
is important, and it is imperative that the right kind of teams is trained well, given the right kind of directions, and given the right kind of coaching or mentoring as we talk, to get the things done in the right frame of framework. So all these
mhm.
things are important for getting things done, I guess.
Yes, yes, definitely. Okay, I understand. Yeah, I agree with that because I did a master degree in HR as well, and there's when you do the studies of human resources and the culture, it is very important to have this vision and mission clear and communicated throughout the whole team, so everybody knows what they are doing and why they are doing and how they have to do it. Yeah, so
Correct.
everything is in line and everything is in very good. In your experience, Ravi, now, what is, would you say, your biggest life lesson learned that you have so far?
Sorry, come again, please. I couldn't hear the last word.
Yeah, so now we discussed the startup business part. I wanted to ask, what is, if you have any, life lesson learned, biggest lesson learned, the most impactful for you?
The last life lesson that I've learned.
Yes, life lesson learned.
Uh, I think I'm still learning. I'm yet to find out. My learning part is still on the learning verge.
Sure, that's
I
why I
think
asked so far. We are all in the same path.
from a founding team perspective, or from a from a mentoring perspective, what perspective do you think you would want to
Yes,
know?
it was more about life, personal life, business, everything related, spiritual, wherever you want to take it, Ravi.
I think the biggest problem or the biggest issue or the biggest hustle for anybody who's working in a startup, or
Yes.
working for a startup or has a startup, I think he or she doesn't have any thin line between personal and professional life, right? It crosses
Sorry,
very.
can you repeat? I just hear you a bit off.
No. I'm saying is somebody who's either working for a startup,
Yes.
has a startup, or is part of a startup, right?
Yeah,
The
I get that.
person's
Yeah.
personal life and professional life has a very thin line, very thin line. He's
Very thin
working in
line.
his personal life, and in his professional life he's handling his personal life at times. Right? It's very mixed up for them. So I think
Mm,
it is important to have a right kind of positive mindset, a strong mindset actually,
mhm.
and I would say a lot of shock absorbers in his mind to take up things that go south. At times you get losses in your business. At times you don't get good contracts. At times you don't have that kind of sales that you're expecting. At times the burn rate of marketing is very high. At times team leaves at the wrong time. At the right time the team is not there. These kind of shocks sometimes hassle you, and really derail you from your thinking. So I think it's important to have a little positive attitude in your mind, and a lot of shock absorbers in your body that can take up small, little, and big shocks.
I like that. Shock absorbers. I'm going to steal that from you, Ravi. Shock
I mean,
absorbers. Yeah.
that's the reason why probably big vehicles have bigger shock absorbers, right? So the more you grow up in startup, the more bigger shock absorbers you have for the outside world and the inside world as well, both of them.
Definitely, definitely. Totally agree. Very good. So positive mindset, a strong mindset for hustles and the shock absorbers. Yes.
Yep, yep.
Great. Ravi, also, what would you say in your experience that you find what kind of leadership is the best for this kind of culture, yeah, to build this kind of culture between all of them?
I think collaborative leadership works very well. You can't have an autocratic leadership with a bunch of excited people, right? They don't work with autocratic leadership. They don't want autocratic leadership. They want freedom of thought, mind, and energy and soul, everything, right? So
Hmm.
a collaborative leadership who can go down 10 levels and talk to the executive or the fresher, and can go up 2 levels up and talk to a senior in the same lingo or the same language that they
Hmm.
understand, enjoy with the same mindset that they enjoy, and give them all the benefits that they're thinking they should be getting, life becomes
Uh-huh.
so easy, right? So
Yes.
I think a collaborative leadership works excellently well with people who want to really nurture their teams and grow up with them.
All right. And what would you say that, for this collaborative leadership, what are the three top character traits, would you say, that you see that is common in all the ones you've seen so far?
I think patience comes right on the top.
Okay,
He
great.
or she should have a lot of patience. Second
Hmm.
is a growth mindset.
Group
Growth
mindset.
mindset means, yeah, it means that he should be positive, affirmative, and always progressive thinking. The third, not last not the least, is he or she should have a vision for the business and people both.
A strong vision. And what did you say? Sorry.
Vision for the business and the people as well, his
Ah,
team.
for the business and the people. Yeah, strong vision for the business and the people. Yeah. And you say group mindset. That
Growth
is
mind,
positive. Group mindset, right?
growth
Yeah.
mindset, growth mindset.
Ah,
Grow,
growth. Ah, sorry, growth mindset. Yeah. Ah, growth mindset, of course. Okay. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, growth mindset that is positive and is resilient
aggressive,
and is learning.
positive, and assertive, and progressive thinking.
Assertive and progressive. All
Assertive,
right,
positive, and progressive thinking.
progressive. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. And I wanted to ask, startups are about a lot of failures also sometimes, and as you said, they had to have this growth mindset and the shock absorbers, right? So,
Yep.
what would you say is the biggest failure that you have seen that they have overcome? Yeah, that could be inspiring to others.
Well, there are a lot of them. I think one of the personal best was when I was working with the founder, and in spite of no funds that he had raised, he kept on going, and kept his boat afloat with customers. But he was from an old school thought, and we also used to tell him that, look, why don't you raise some capital? Why don't you raise some debt? Forget equity, raise some debt from the bank or something like that to fuel your working capital. But he used to always depend that my customers will probably, if I get more customers, I will get more revenues. And I think
Uh-huh.
uh, that is a very hard way to go. And I think he took the hard way, but in the end, he was successfully bringing l- a fair amount of customers, enterprise level customers, to his services company. And in the end, he is still one of the successful coaches around, and he made sure his practice for his business was afloat and profitable, because he put a lot of hard work rather than going the easy way to bite an equity or debt. He involved
Uh-huh.
more customers to pay for his working capital. It's a
Okay.
difficult task to do it, but I think he managed it very well. So I think, and it was a long time. So I think hats off to him for his entrepreneurship zeal, so he could keep himself afloat.
Uh-huh. What is the name of this company or person you say?
Mohit is his name, a good friend of mine. He had a
Uh,
services company, and he's a very good friend actually. And I think I've learned a lot from him as well.
okay, great. Yeah, right. We learn a lot from our failures, right?
Yeah,
And
I do.
yes, I wanted to ask you, Ravi, do you have any favorite failure of yours that you have learned the most?
Oh yes, I have many of them. So I mean, out of a couple of ventures that I started, majority of them failed. I would not lie, in the early part of
Uh-huh.
my life, because sometimes overconfidence kills your speed. The
Sure.
first venture that I started was a media tech venture. It miserably failed, not because the product was not good, not because it did not validate it. It was a great idea. It was going very well, but I think we had a rift. The co-founders had a basic understanding rift, and we had to move our different ways. Cordially, happily, that was a different story. The second
Uh-huh.
failure I remember was the most disastrous of all. When I invested some amount of money into starting an ed tech business, and the partner who was supposed to drive it, I blindly trusted him, and without any agreements
Uh-huh.
as such. And he bought the entire ship down, took the entire money out, and I had to just in pleasure, stop it out. Last
Okay.
but not the least, I think I've been with, this was my own experiences, sweet spots, but I've
Hmm.
been with people where I've seen how they have failed is because they did not validate the market and entered with a great product, but without validation, and they bombed the market with the product, and it failed miserably.
Sure.
Sometimes it is about hiring the wrong set of people for a great product, uh, great design, great market value, great addressable market, everything great in shape, right? But the people who were hired, or the people who were hired for technology and marketing and sales, were the wrong hires, and the entire great product went down the drain in flat 1 2 months. So I've seen
Mm.
those kind of failures, but they teach you a lot of things at the end of the day. The
Definitely,
problem is
definitely.
that you should learn from those mistakes, but not repeat them again.
Sure, definitely. The problem is when we repeat them again, right?
Yeah, I mean
Sure.
that's a loss of money, time, energy, everything actually.
Yeah. All right. So if I got it right, the first two startups that you create or companies that you launch were because of the not having the right team, basically, right?
Correct, correct, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
is that the lesson? All right. I wanted to ask you also, Ravi, startups and businesses is finally about investments as well of capital or on the product or on the people. I wanted to ask you, what is the best worthwhile investment that you have done, Ravi? It can be of time, it can be of money, it can be of energy, whatever.
So way back, way back in 2020, uh, 11, 12, I mean, that is the time when startups were taking a lot of, action across the world, specifically in India. And technology startups were taking a little shape. Mobile technology was taking a little shape. And I came from a BFSI background, which is banking financial services. I did not have a lot of technology background. So, you know, I wanted to understand a little bit of technology. I had to understand how the technology startups work. I wanted to understand mobile technology as well, but I had no experience. I was not a computer scientist. I was from a very, I was from an arts background doing financial services. So I
Uh-huh.
think I took a major step rather than going back to work into the corporate. I started working with a friend of mine who started a mobile technology company. Of course, he successfully exited that company as well. But my biggest decision to work with him to understand mobile technology and technology as a as a important part ingredient of business for specifically technology startups and mobile technology was the I think the biggest investment I did on myself to
All
learn and
right.
unlearn working with the developers and programmers. Uh, you know,
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay, great. Yeah. So it's basically to work for someone else to learn and understand better the technology and the programming part of this technology. Yes.
yeah, correct. So understanding the business part of it, understanding the technology part of it, understanding how it works actually. It was not about just getting money in a corporate environment. It was all about hardcore understanding in a startup world how technology startups work, how what kind of
Mm-hmm.
technologies are being used in the mobile technology field, how does a technology startup actually distribute work, what are the things required for building a technology product. And I think way back in 2012, it was a great learning for me because very few players were doing it. So it was good
Uh-huh.
for me to understand, relearn, and unlearn a lot of concepts and understanding of that space.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Um, this lesson learned then and this investment, how it is serve you now later in life.
Well, the point is that if you understand the basics, the detailed part is not
No,
what
man,
you have
no.
to execute, right? So I understood my basics very well. So now, if I have to talk to a technology consultant or a technology CTO or a CMO or a CEO who's running a technology outfit, I understand what the basic problems would be. I understand how the developers work. How I understand how the programmers work. I understand what their cycle of operations is. I might not code myself. I might not program myself, but I understand what how they operate. I understand the environment that they work in. So it is
Definitely.
easy for me to now decide, build, teams across levels, whether that's sales, marketing, technology, operations, risk, because I've worked with those guys. I've worked in close tandem with those guys. So that has made my life a little easier to build that kind of teams.
Okay, great. Definitely, definitely. That's great. Yeah, once you know what is the action going on in the bottom, you can manage better from the top and give recommendations and lead, right? Very
Right.
good.
So, for example, two people can know the same language. They might know Python, they might know JavaScript, they might know 100 other languages, but the
Yes.
difference would be to understand what is their mindscape or mind, how does their mind work in terms of addressing problems versus solutions. So somebody who's good at solving problems is better than somebody who's static and who's told what to do. So the accountability is higher in people who
Hmm.
understand who are problem solvers by nature.
Definitely. Yeah, make them accountable and responsible, and empower them to follow or look for
That's
solutions.
it. That's it.
Definitely.
By, otherwise, everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah. All right, great. We are on 30 minutes now, Ravi, and the end of the interview. It was a real pleasure. And before we leave, I wanted to ask you the last question, which is, what
Go ahead.
is the most impactful message you could leave now to startups and entrepreneurs for them to thrive?
I think the best message I can give to anybody who's planning, thinking, writing, dreaming, or even speaking about starting a new company or a startup is, uh, please, 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 for God's sake, validate your idea first before you go to the market. I'll repeat, I'll repeat it 100 times. Validate your idea before you go to the market. Make sure the idea has a reliable audience or addressable market which is willing to pay for your product. Right? If you
Uh-huh.
do not have people who are willing to pay for your product, don't go to the market. First, find out whether people are willing to pay and buy your product. Buy
Bye.
dollar exchange or a euro exchange is happening there, right?
All
Second
right,
is
great.
get a small like-minded team in place so that they can work and hustle with you. One person is good enough. Two people are great. If you don't get people, wait for those people to come in with you. Last not the least is make sure there are good days and there are bad days. Bad days have numbered, so are good days. So do not fall for bad days. Good days will also come, bad days will also come. The only person that who moves through these kind of environment is a person who has a growth mindset, and I think he or she, will pass through good and bad days in the same rhythm and come out successful. So I think born voyage for everybody.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. So if I get the last points, validate the idea before going to the market. Two, get the right team. And third, a growth mindset that will let them go through the bad and the good times, yeah, and all that.
Absolutely,
Very good,
absolutely.
very good. Thank you so much, Ravi. It was a real pleasure to have you with us. Yes,
Cheers.
we'll talk now later. Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Cheers. Cheers.